Quiet street, winter dusk. Can you fix our door? Mommy's scared. What the man next door did next changed everything. The block looked tired, cracked sidewalks, bent mailboxes, porches that groaned when you stepped on them. And at the far end, like it belonged on a different street, one house always looked finished. Clean siding, trim hedges, a porch light that clicked on at the exact same time every night. That was Ethan Cole's place, 39, controlled. Quiet, always polite, never warm, a man with quiet shoes and a face that never fully unlocked. 3 houses down, the paint on Marissa Lane's rental had peeled into thin curls. Her porch step dipped in the middle. Her screen door never latched right. Marissa was 31, a home health aide on night shifts, the kind of work that follows you home in your shoulders, the kind that pays just enough to keep you busy. Her daughter Piper was 4 and fearless in a way that made adults nervous. Piper wore a ridiculous little fox hat with ears that bounced when she walked, and she carried a tiny travel checkers set like it mattered more than snacks. Their front door had been losing the fight for years. The frame was warped, the latch stuck, the deadbolt had to be coaxed like it was doing you a favor. At night, the wind didn't just whistle. It found the gap and pushed in like it had permission. Marissa had tried tape, a towel at the bottom, a chair wedged under the knob, but everything cost something. And right now, money was already spoken for. That afternoon, the weather turned mean. Rain came in thin sheets, slanting sideways. The air bit at your ears. Marissa buttoned Piper's coat fast, hands moving like she'd practiced on hard mornings. Cold, huh? Marissa said, tugging Piper's hood up. Piper nodded solemnly. Cold bites. They stepped off the porch and started down the sidewalk. Up ahead, Ethan Cole stepped out of his house. Neat coat, neat hair, neat movements. He locked his door like he trusted nothing. His hand paused on the knob a beat too long, like he was listening for a sound that wasn't there. Marissa lowered her eyes. She wasn't in the mood to be noticed. She wasn't in the mood for the kind of kindness that turns into questions. They were just neighbors passing in bad weather, but Piper let go of her hand, 2 quick steps, fox ears bobbing. She stopped a few feet from Ethan and tipped her chin up like she was asking a teacher, and she said it, clear, calm. Can you fix our door? Mommy's scared. Marissa froze so hard her breath caught. Heat crawled up her neck. She rushed forward and scooped Piper up. Oh my, I'm sorry, Marissa said, voice tight. She says things. Piper blinked, confused. I just asked. Marissa hugged her closer, like that could rewind the moment. We don't ask strangers for things, baby. Not like that. Ethan didn't flinch. He didn't step closer. His eyes flicked once toward Marissa's door, then back to Piper's fox hat, then to Marissa's face. His mouth opened, but no polite answer came out. Marissa turned too quickly and walked away faster than she needed to. Piper looked back over her mother's shoulder. Mommy, I'm fine, Marissa lied softly. We're fine. Ethan stayed by his gate while the rain tapped his porch railing. And Piper's line didn't fade. It stayed in the air like steam. Mommy's scared. Ethan's house, night later. Ethan sat in a warm room that didn't creak. His house was the kind of quiet people pay for. No leaking windows. No rattling frame. No sudden sounds that make your heart check itself. A book lay open in his lap, unread. Outside, wind shoved the trees. Rain hissed across the streetlights. Ethan stared through the window. Across the way, Marissa's porch light flickered once, then steadied, then her front door shifted. Not open, not shut, just trembling. A thin rattle that sounded like a question. Ethan's jaw tightened. He reached for his phone, stopped. He didn't call anyone, didn't text, didn't make it official. He stood up instead. He walked to a hall closet and pulled out a small, worn toolbox. The handle was scuffed, like it had been used for real problems. Ethan paused with his hand on his own door, a long beat. Then he stepped outside. Marissa's porch late-night Piper was finally asleep. The checkers set sat on the kitchen table. The fox hat hung over a chair like it was keeping watch. Marissa checked the lock again. It stuck. She pushed, pulled. Finally it caught barely. She exhaled. Then a knock, not loud, not demanding, just present. Marissa's body went rigid. She moved to the door and looked through the tiny pane. A tall silhouette, still. She cracked the door. Ethan stood there in a raincoat, one shoulder wet, toolbox in one hand, no umbrella, no smile. I saw your door, he said. It was rattling pretty bad. Marissa's fingers tightened on the edge. It's fine, Ethan nodded once like he heard her, but didn't believe the word. I can fix it from outside, he said. If that's okay. The way he asked mattered, like he was careful not to take up space that wasn't offered. Marissa hesitated, then opened the door wider just enough. Okay, she whispered, just out here. Ethan didn't look inside, not even a glance. He knelt by the hinge. rain tapped the porch roof. As he crouched, something slipped from his coat pocket, a folded piece of paper. It landed near the porch post. He didn't notice. Ethan worked slowly, not rushed, not loud, just screwdriver turns, metal settling. Marissa stood beside him, phone flashlight angled so it lit the screws but didn't blind him. Rain thickened. Without thinking, Marissa stepped back inside, grabbed a beat-up umbrella and came out again. She held it over him. Half her sleeve got soaked. Neither of them mentioned it. Ethan adjusted the strike plate, tightened the hinge, filed the swollen edge where the door scraped. Then he tested it. One push. The door closed clean. No rattle, no gap talking back. Marissa's shoulders dropped like something unclenched deep in her chest. Ethan stood, closed his toolbox. "Try it," he said. Marissa did. The door clicked into place like it belonged there. Her voice came out smaller than she wanted. "Thank you," she said. "I don't get help much." Ethan's face didn't change much, but his voice softened by 1 degree. "Everyone deserves a door that shuts the world out," he said. He reached into his coat and set a plain card on the porch rail. ETHAN, end house a number. Then he nodded once and stepped back into the rain. Marissa watched him disappear down the dark sidewalk. She shut the door slowly. It clicked. Inside, the air felt warmer, not because the wind stopped, but because the house finally held. Marissa's porch, after Marissa's eyes caught the paper near the porch post, folded, creased like it had been carried too long. She picked it up. Unfolded it, a child's drawing, a small stick figure girl, a porch light colored yellow, and careful block letters that made Marissa's breath stop. "Come home, Dad." Marissa's hand went still. Across the street, Ethan's porch light glowed steady. And for the first time, Marissa realized, some doors don't shake from wind, some shake from memories. Early morning, quiet street, the rain stopped, but the cold stayed. Marissa walked Piper to preschool with her pride pulled higher than her hood. She didn't look toward Ethan's house, not on purpose, just survival. Piper looked, though. Piper always looked. "Mr. Ethan fixed it," Piper announced like it was breaking news. Marissa whispered, "Inside voice." Piper nodded, then whispered louder, "He fixed it so good." Marissa tried not to smile. She failed a little. Marissa's kitchen night, that night, after Piper fell asleep, Marissa opened a notebook she never showed anyone. She wrote 2 lines, then she closed it like it could embarrass her. The cover was plain, but in faded marker it said, "Piper Stories." She set it in a drawer and shut it fast. Some dreams felt too expensive to touch. Marissa's table next afternoon, Piper drew with her tongue poking out, serious as a little architect. Crayon scratches. Quiet hum of the heater, a pot of beans warming on the stove. Piper slid her drawing across the table. A little house, a closed door, a bright porch light colored yellow, and a man holding a toolbox. "I want to give him," Piper said. Marissa hesitated. Her caution came first, then her pride, then something softer. "Okay," Marissa said. 1 minute, polite, then we go." Piper nodded like the rules made sense. Ethan's porch, late afternoon. Ethan opened his door like he'd been standing behind it. Not rushed, not surprised, just ready. Marissa stayed 1 step back. Piper held the drawing out with both hands. "For you," Piper said. "So you remember?" Ethan took it carefully like it could tear feelings. He studied the yellow porch light for a long moment. Then he said, "Thank you," just that. But his voice didn't sound like manners. It sounded like he meant it. Marissa cleared her throat. "We should go." Ethan nodded. No invitation, no push. As they turned, Piper waved. Ethan lifted his hand. A small wave. Awkward. Real. Ethan's kitchen, night. Ethan pinned Piper's drawing to his fridge. It was the only thing there. No photos, no magnets, no clutter. Just Piper's crayon house and a door that shut. He stared at it longer than a busy man should. Then he opened a cabinet and pulled out a tin of cookies, store-bought, still sealed. He held it like he didn't know what to do with kindness that wasn't earned. He set it back, closed the cabinet, and walked away. Laundromat. 2 days later, Marissa folded warm towels when she heard it, not aimed at her. Just loud enough to land. "Must be nice," a woman said, voice sharp with pretend sweetness. Finding a shortcut. A quiet laugh. A second whisper. Marissa's fingers went stiff around a towel. Heat crawled up her face. She didn't argue. Didn't defend. She folded faster, like speed could erase humiliation. And on the walk home, she took a different route. Not past Ethan's house. Piper noticed immediately. "Wrong way," Piper said. "Different way today," Marissa answered, too quick. Piper frowned. "Mr. Ethan gonna be sad." Marissa swallowed. "No, baby." But Piper looked out the window when they got home, fox ears pressed to the glass. Across the street, Ethan's porch light clicked on early again. Piper's voice turned small. "Mommy, did I do bad?" Marissa knelt and brushed Piper's cheek with her thumb. No, she whispered. You didn't, but her eyes stung anyway. Ethan's yard, same time. Ethan was outside, watering his hedges. He looked up and saw Marissa's silhouette behind the curtain, saw Piper's fox hat, and then he noticed what wasn't happening. They didn't walk by anymore. The street felt colder than the weather. Ethan turned off the hose and stood there with water dripping from the nozzle. He didn't look angry. He looked unsure, like someone who'd finally found something warm and didn't know if he'd accidentally pushed it away. That night, Ethan stood by his fridge and stared at Piper's drawing. His fingers hovered near the crayon paper, then stopped. He turned, walked to his desk, and opened a blank page on his laptop. He typed one line, then deleted it. Typed again, then stopped. Finally, he grabbed a marker and a piece of cardboard from the garage. Simple, plain, no speech, just action. Community mailbox. Next morning, Ethan carried a folding table down to the community mailbox. He set it up in the cold, a cooler underneath, bottled water, granola bars. Then he taped the cardboard sign to the front, big letters. Free Fix IT Day, locks, steps, porch lights, hinges. Ethan stood back and looked at it like he was daring himself. Then he rolled his sleeves up and waited for the street to decide if it trusted him. Community mailbox, Saturday morning. People approached like they didn't trust kindness without a price. Ethan didn't explain himself. He just nodded and asked, what needs fixing? A loose step, a porch bulb dead for months, a gate that squealed like it was complaining. Ethan worked quiet and steady. No camera, no announcement. No look at me, just screws tightening, boards settling, small problems stopping their daily haunt. Marissa watched from her porch, arms crossed from habit. Piper bounced beside her. Mommy, Piper whispered, he fixin' everybody. Marissa didn't answer right away. Then softly, that's nice. Piper tugged her hand. Can we go? Marissa hesitated. She didn't want to look like she was taking. But Piper was already halfway off the steps. Fox hat, fearless. Ethan's table later. Piper marched up like she owned the sidewalk. Ethan crouched slightly so his eyes met hers. Piper placed her travel checkers set on the table like a contract. You play? She asked. Ethan blinked. I used to. Red is mine, Piper declared. Ethan's mouth twitched. Fair. Marissa stepped closer, cautious. We can't stay long. Ethan nodded. Understood. He didn't push, didn't ask for more than offered. They played between repairs. Piper beat him once. Ethan beat her once. Then Piper changed the rules mid-game and announced, I win forever. Ethan looked at the board like he was considering legal options. Then he said, deadpan, that's a strong policy. Piper giggled like she'd just discovered power. Marissa's laugh escaped, small, surprised, not polite, real. Ethan heard it. His shoulders loosened by half an inch. Fix IT Day, midday. Ethan replaced a porch bulb for an older man who couldn't climb the steps anymore. He tightened a railing for a woman whose hand shook as she pointed. He didn't take credit. He didn't make anyone feel small. When someone joked, what is this, a PR thing? Ethan only said, we share the same street. It should feel safe. And then he went back to work. Marissa watched that too. She saw how he didn't hover near her, how he never turned his help into a claim. It mattered. Small diner, late afternoon. Snow started to dust the windows by the time Marissa and Piper ended up at the little diner on the corner. Ethan sat in the booth across from them, not too close. Piper lined checkers pieces in a neat row on the table, humming. Ethan's phone buzzed once. He looked at it, then silenced it. A small choice, a real one. Ethan nodded toward Piper. Hot cocoa? He asked, careful. Is that okay? Marissa studied him. Then she said, okay. Ethan ordered it and set it in front of Piper like it was normal. Piper took one sip and got a chocolate mustache. Ethan slid a napkin across without smiling. But his eyes softened. Piper wiped her lip and asked, sudden, Mommy works when it's dark. Marissa's fingers tightened around her mug. Piper. Ethan didn't correct the child. He only asked softly. Is that hard? Marissa stared at the steam. It's hard, she said, but it's ours. Ethan nodded like he respected the sentence. You're doing a good job, he said, not loud, not dramatic, like he meant it enough to keep it simple. Marissa blinked fast once. Thank you, she said, quiet. Piper tapped Ethan's sleeve. Why you alone? She asked. Marissa's breath caught. Piper, but Ethan didn't look offended. He looked still. I had a family once, he said, one sentence. No story. Marissa didn't pry. She didn't offer pity. She just nodded slowly, like she understood the shape of it. Ethan reached into his wallet and slid something across the table. Not money, a card for a local program. Caregiver certification, childcare assistance, better hours, better pay. I donate to them, Ethan said. They're solid if you ever want options. Marissa stared at it. Help offered with dignity intact. She picked it up carefully. I'll look, she said. No promises, Ethan nodded. Fair. Outside, early evening, snow thickened as they walked home. Streetlights blurred. Wind picked up and found the weak spots in coats. Marissa hurried Piper inside. The door closed solid. A sound that still surprised Marissa. She turned the lock, then the power flickered. Once, twice, and went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Piper's voice turned small. Mommy, Marissa grabbed her phone. No signal. The wind shoved the house. And from the back door, a soft metallic click. Not breaking. Testing. Marissa froze. Her thumb hovered over the call screen. Ethan's number was there. She didn't want to drag anyone into danger. Didn't want to be the woman people whispered about. Another click. Piper whispered from the hallway, clutching her fox hat tighter. Mommy, door's scared again. Marissa swallowed. Then she pressed call. 1 ring. 2. Ethan answered immediately. I'm coming, he said. No questions. No drama, just certainty. Marissa stared at the dark door like it could hear him. And outside, the street went very, very quiet. Marissa's house complete dark. Marissa guided Piper into the bedroom with no lights on. Under the blanket, she whispered. Quiet like a mouse. Piper obeyed, fox ears barely visible in the dark. Marissa stood in the hallway, listening. The house made its old noises, wood contracting, wind pressing, then a hard little jostle at the back door, not a crash, a test. Marissa held her breath. Outside, footsteps in wet gravel. Her stomach turned cold. Then a beam of light cut through the darkness like a blade. A second beam, and then floodlights, bright, white, sudden. The backyard lit up like daytime. A figure stood near the back door, frozen, caught, not a monster. Just a man with bad intentions and easy access. Ethan stood at a distance, flashlight steady, voice calm. This area has cameras, he said. Police are on the way. He didn't chase, didn't escalate. He held ground. The man backed away, muttered something, and disappeared into darkness beyond the light. Marissa's knees felt loose. She opened the front door a crack. Ethan stood on the walkway, far enough to respect space, close enough to protect. His coat collar was up, snow stuck to his shoulders. He didn't step forward. Are you both okay? He asked. Marissa's voice came thin. Yes. Then, like it hurt to admit, no. Ethan nodded like he understood both answers. May I stay on the porch? He asked. Until the police finished checking the block. Marissa swallowed. Yes, she whispered. He stayed outside, not inside her home. No assumptions, no claiming. The police arrived, drove slow, checked doors, asked questions. When they left, the power flickered back on. Warm light filled the rooms like a returning friend. Ethan stood, ready to leave. Marissa surprised herself. Come in, she said quietly. Just a minute, she's shaking. Ethan hesitated, then nodded once. Ethan's house, later. They ended up at Ethan's house because it was warmer and brighter and Marissa's hands wouldn't stop trembling. Piper fell asleep on Ethan's couch with a blanket tucked under her chin. Ethan's old dog, Milo, curled beside her like a guard. Marissa held a mug of tea with both hands, staring into the steam. I'm not scared because of tonight, she whispered. I'm scared because it means I can't do everything alone. Ethan didn't rush to fix her words. He sat in the chair across from her. Quiet. Then he said, simple. I'm not here because you're weak. Beat, I'm here because you've been strong too long. Marissa blinked hard. She wiped her eyes fast like she was erasing evidence. Ethan didn't reach for her. He just stayed. The next morning, withdrawal morning came with pale light and phone vibrations. Ethan took a call in the kitchen. His voice went clipped. CEO voice, bored voice. Marissa heard fragments. Emergency, today, can't wait. Ethan ended the call and turned back toward them. His face went careful again. I need to handle something, he said. Marissa nodded too quickly. Of course, Piper sat up on the couch, rubbing her eyes. Ethan looked at her and something softened. Then his gaze drifted to the fridge. Piper's drawing was still there. The yellow porch light, the closed door. Ethan stepped closer, fingers hovering near the crayon paper. He touched the edge once, then stopped himself. Like touching it might make him stay. He turned away fast. I'll check on the lights later, he said, voice flat, and he left. The door clicked behind him. Piper watched the closed door like it had feelings. He went way, she whispered. Marissa forced calm. He's busy, baby. Piper stared a long moment, then asked, heartbreakingly simple. Was we too much? Marissa didn't answer fast enough. Piper slid off the couch, walked to the fridge, and pulled her drawing down. The paper tore a little at the corner. Piper stared at the rip like it was proof. Marissa's throat tightened. Across town, Ethan sat in the back of a car, staring out the window. He could still hear Piper's first question. Can you fix our door? And now this one was worse. Was we too much? Ethan swallowed hard. He pressed his thumb into his palm like he could hold himself steady. and in his mind, a different door rattled, a different night, a different loss. He stared at his reflection in the glass and realized the truth he didn't want. He wasn't running from Marissa. He was running from the part of himself that still believed love ends in silence. Marissa's porch 2 days later, Marissa taped Piper's torn drawing back together. Careful, straight, like if she aligned it perfectly, life would feel aligned too. Piper watched quietly, fox hat pulled low. The porch light clicked on early again, but Ethan didn't come. That night Piper whispered, "We still safe?" Marissa kissed her forehead. Yes, but her eyes drifted to the door anyway. A door that closed right and still couldn't keep loneliness out. Ethan's return morning. Ethan showed up when the street was quiet, not at midnight, not as a hero, just a man with a toolbox and a paper bag. He stopped at the bottom of Marissa's steps, didn't climb, didn't assume welcome. He looked up. "May I?" he asked. Marissa opened the door but didn't smile. "May you what?" Ethan held up the bag. Inside, 2 hot cocoa packets and a small box. "A better strike plate," he said, "and cocoa for Piper." Marissa didn't move, so Ethan took a breath. "May I apologize?" he said. "Without excuses." Marissa's arms crossed tighter. "Go ahead." Ethan nodded once. "When I left, it wasn't because of you," he said. "It was because I got scared." Marissa's voice stayed steady, but her eyes were tired. "People get scared and disappear," she said. Ethan nodded. "Yes." He looked down at the step, then back up. "I lost my daughter," he said. 3 years ago." Marissa's breath caught. Ethan didn't decorate the sentence, didn't turn it into a speech. He just stood there with the truth. "Every time I start to care," Ethan added quietly, "my brain tells me I'm about to lose it again." Marissa swallowed. Then she said the boundary like she'd practiced it alone for years. "I'm sorry," she said. "But I can't be someone's healing project." Ethan nodded quickly. "I know. That's why I'm asking," he said. "Not taking. Beat, would it be okay if I helped in a way you choose?" Marissa held his gaze a long moment. "Like what?" she asked. Ethan reached into his pocket and held out the program card again. "The certification," he said. "Better pay, better hours." Marissa blinked. She hadn't realized she'd said that out loud in the diner. But he'd remembered. Ethan continued carefully. "I can sponsor a scholarship through them," he said. "Not to you, not in your name, just to make the slot available." Marissa stared at him. Her dignity stayed intact. No handout. No strings, just a door opening in the right direction. Marissa exhaled slowly. "I'll apply," she said. "If I get in, I'll take it." Ethan's shoulders loosened. "Good," he said softly. "Good." "Piper, the bridge," Marissa called inside. "Piper, sweetheart." Piper appeared in the hallway, fox hat on, holding her checkers set like armor. She walked to the doorway slowly and looked at Ethan with serious eyes. Ethan crouched, keeping space. He held out the cocoa packet like it was peace. Piper took it. Then she asked, small, "Was we too much?" Ethan's face tightened for 1 second. Then he shook his head. "No," he said. "You weren't too much." He paused, like he wanted to get it exactly right. "You were the first good thing I didn't run from," he said. Piper stared at him. Then she held up the checkers set. "You still play?" she asked. Ethan's mouth twitched. "Yes," he said, "if you'll still let me." Piper sat on the porch step like the meeting was scheduled. Ethan sat a little lower on the bottom step, not touching her, just near. Marissa watched them. And for the first time, she didn't feel rescued. She felt joined. Epilogue 9 months later, community center, early evening. The room smelled like coffee and paper and new beginnings. A small banner hung above a folding table. Piper's Brave Door, a children's book by Marissa Lane. Marissa stood behind the table with a shy smile. Not flashy, not famous, but published. Real, her caregiver certification badge clipped to her sweater, her night shifts behind her. Piper bounced beside her, fox hat now slightly too small. Ethan stood a few feet away, holding a stack of books and a roll of tape. Helper roll, not spotlight. On the cover was a drawing, a little house, a strong door. A porch light colored yellow, a small toolbox in the corner, tiny now, because the door wasn't about Ethan anymore. It was about safety earned, family built, hope practiced. Later, they walked home together. The air was cold but calm. Streetlights hummed. Marissa unlocked the front door. The lock clicked smooth. Piper stepped inside, then turned back to Ethan. "You were lost," she said. "Like me?" Ethan swallowed. "I was," Piper smiled. "But you found us." Marissa reached for Ethan's hand, slow, deliberate. A choice. The porch light glowed warm behind them, and the door closed with a solid, safe click. If this story touched your heart, please hit like, subscribe, and stay with us. We're here for the quiet kind of hope, the kind that doesn't shout, it just shows up.